What's going on, everybody? It's the Indoor Hunter, and we're obviously doing something a little bit different on the channel today. Have you guys ever seen those videos where like an actor or like a historian or something like that will be like answering like common Google questions, and they'll like rip the tape off and like answer the question? We're going to be doing something similar to that for new players. Today is going to be the Facebook edition, and I've kept names out and everything like that to keep that anonymous, but I've been compiling all of the common beginner player questions that I'm seeing, and we're going to try to answer those today. All right, first question: how do you know you spawned a great one? And to a veteran player, this seems like a silly question, but if you're brand spanking new to the game and all you hear and everyone talk about is great ones, how the heck do you know you have one? Well, to answer this person, it's very, very obvious. The animal's going to look very different. It's going to say Tin Fabled. That's how you know you spawned a great one. What gun do you recommend for moose? I'm just setting up for a great one moose grind. All right. Two things to unpack here in this question. The first one is a very, 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 very common question. I see, what gun do you recommend for moose? Because you guys, when you start out, all you have is the 243, and that gun is nowhere near capable enough for hunting moose. I mean, you can get very close and get a heart shot, but it's harder. It's easier said than done, and I wouldn't recommend hunting moose until you have at least the 7mm. If you have access to DLC, obviously the 300 Zarza or the 338s, those do excellent. As far as grinding, I don't recommend new players grinding. So this is an excellent question. I've just started playing this game today. Are the great ones meant to be like the legendary fish in the Angler? So for those of you that don't know, Call of the Wild, the Angler has legendary fish that are similar to great ones as far as like trophy value goes, but they're just really difficult to get. The game tells you when they're on the map. The community is tight enough that everybody like it's in the same location for everybody, and you can have your attempt to get it. So the answer for great ones being like legendary fish in the Angler, no, they are not the same at all. Great ones are completely random. They're definitely a late stage in-game, similar I guess to legendary fish. They're an in-game critter to try and get, and unlike the Angler, nobody knows where or when their great one's going to spawn, so it's much more difficult to get a great one than a legendary fish. How do I stop the sway when aiming down the scope? Thinking in advance. This question I see asked numerous times because it is atrocious in this game, especially if you're on console. It's a nightmare. It's nearly impossible to hit something because this game has no auto aim function, and when you're just doing this, yeah, you're not hitting much. That said, obviously you can hold your breath in the game, and there are perks that help with this and make it much, much, much better in the future. If I kill an animal and don't claim it for say 2 days, will it remain or be deleted? This is actually a complicated question. It kind of depends on what this person means, but I do see this asked a lot about leaving animals, and I found out the hard way. It's why we had to reset. When you leave enough animals over time, it will actually break your game. So I don't recommend doing it constantly. That said, if you shoot an animal and don't claim it, he says for 2 days, let's say you actively play for 2 in-game days, yeah, sure, the animal's probably going to stay there. But if you mean actually like literally 2 days, you exit out of the game and leave, no, it will not be there. It will be gone forever. And once the problem, once it respawns, it'll try to respawn as itself, but sometimes the game breaks, so I don't recommend it. I really, really recommend you trying to find those kills that you get. But hey, you know, sometimes it is convenient to leave one, or if you need to leave one, I wouldn't fret it too much. But yes, not claiming animals, they will go away. This is another very common new time player question. Do I have to buy my four-wheeler and a dog, or where do I go to get those? And I'm gonna assume this person's on PC because console players are lucky and they don't have to buy four-wheelers. Those are just free included in the game. Dogs, however, are purchased DLC. You got to find those in the store. But the four-wheeler, but here's the downside. If you're on PC, you also have to buy the four-wheeler as DLC. Either way, those things can be found in your kennel or the garage in the inventory screen at any tent, outpost, or storage box. Another good question. I don't do hunting in real life, but the game looks good. How do I get on with the game with no hunting knowledge? I see this asked quite a bit, and luckily for you new players coming in, or if you're curious about the Hunter Call of the Wild, you don't need to be a hunter in order to enjoy this game. Imagine Call of Duty, but instead of people, it's endangered species. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. All jokes aside, you don't need to know anything about hunting. I would look into shot placement as far as where to actually hit an animal, because sometimes people are, I'll see where somebody's like, we shot that thing in the head and it didn't die. It's like, well, because the animals actually have organs and you actually have to hit them. And if you just, make a flesh shot, you make a flesh shot. So maybe outside of that, you don't need to know much about hunting. Come on in and enjoy the fun. This is actually a really good question that got a lot of hate for some reason in the comments, but I think it's an excellent beginner question, and the answer is no, it doesn't spook them. But I encourage that kind of stuff because honestly, it's a good question, because what if it did? That would impact a lot of grinds, wouldn't it? But luckily for us, it does not scare off animals. Do the areas that turn purple from hunting ever go back to normal? Good question. They do. Over time, they will go back to normal on their own. It takes forever. You can actually help with hunting pressure by going somewhere else on the map and hunting and adding more hunting pressure there, and that will actually erase that hunting pressure. Best shotgun for birds? Hands down, it's the 12 gauge category. I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's the 12 gauge pump shotgun. It's got 6 rounds of 12 gauge and it has better range than the over under, and it's just a really good shotgun, and it's not DLC, so it's available to everyone. And that concludes the first iteration of Indoor Answers the Internet Facebook edition. If you guys are interested in more stuff or more content like this, please let me know in the comments below. This was actually kind of fun to make, and my goal is always to help out those new players, because as you guys know, as veteran players, if you're watching this game's hard, and the best piece of advice I can give is also the cheesiest, and that's don't give up, because it is hard, but once you get there, and man, the opportunities in this game are just endless. If there's something in here that you're dying to know that I didn't answer here or any of my other videos, let me know in the comments below and I can hopefully help you out. That being said, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you guys on the next one.